it is a living, breathing force which makes you perceive things in a certain way, including your own identities, like Koral also explained, that we look at past and wonder if this is how we should be living.
Yes.
And the struggles around you and what you watch in the society is always, if not directly, in some way a reflection of what we've been in the past.
Mm-hmm.
That is the reason. And the part one is more foundational in nature.
Mm.
It is an unraveling of the deep symbolism and the hidden truths and the narratives which are forgotten completely.
Yes.
So by reading the hymns and reading the ancient works, that is what I was trying to do. And you know what happens when the layers of history get collected, and there's a religious shift and there's a cultural shift, like Sati happened, and there's a lot of patriarchal influence on the whole thing, which changes the way we look at things, and that is how Mahadevi changed in our eyes. We looked at her in a very different way, which is far away from the reality. When you really read about her, you realize that we were told a different story about her. So, and then the second part is a take which gives a more tangible and a more immediate form to the whole thing, which tells me, it kind of told me to look for Mahadevi in today's world, the women of today who embody her, either knowingly or unknowingly, but they embody her. And that is how the two parts happen, and the two communicate with each other, the two parts, because there's a dialogue. You've read the book, there's a dialogue between the two parts. And then that's how you realize that the mythology is the origin, the roots, the archetypes. And today's stories are finding them in today's world and kind of drawing a correlation from the past. So it is, in my mind, when you put the two together, it's not really a mythological exploration, but a living invocation of Mahadevi to reclaim her and to embody her and to remember her in various ways.
You have to have a dialogue with yourself also.
In the internal dialogue too.
Yes. We can't agree more. Come to you, Shalini. Your book is very different. So it talks about the various rasas of the divine. And there's one particular ras which, it's a rarity to find that in mythology books, because we mostly talk about suspense and thrill and deception and betrayal and all sort of, intense emotions. There's this very sweet, romantic element of hasya ras, in which you speak about Krishna having a good time with his gopis, and there's hasya ras happening. So please tell us a little more about it.
Yes, so usually when we talk about or we think of gopis and Krishna, it is about Shringar. But when I read the Bhagavatam Puran, I felt that Krishna taught them life lessons through Hasya Ras. Because when he plays his flute at night on Sharad Purnima, and they leave their half-done course to the extent that one of them has put kajal in one eye and not in the other, and she runs to him. The other one leaves a half-fed baby, or someone is feeding her in-laws and she just abandons it and runs for him. Yeah. And then when they are with him, they develop this ego that they are with Krishna, so they are special. And suddenly he disappears because he realizes that they've developed this ego. And then they start looking for him like, mad women. They're totally distraught. And at one point they start copying him. So they start pretending that they are Krishna. Like, they've lifted the Govardhan, and or they are crawling on their fours pretending to be a baby Krishna. So all of this has a lot of hasya ras in it. And even this story of Krishna stealing their clothes, which is a very popular story, but no one really knows what was the reason he did that. So these gopis were actually following a vrat of sorts, and they were praying to Ma Kali so they could attain Krishna.
Okay.
Yeah, and in our scriptures, it's forbidden to have a bath in the river without clothes. And that's what they were doing. So Krishna wanted to teach them a lesson and in a fun way, and so he stole their clothes, and they realized their folly. But it was all done in humor, and how Hasiras was used so positively by him is what attracted me.
How lovely, how lovely. Wonderful. I'm coming back to Coral once again, and Coral, I'll pick it up from the place where we last left, where you almost stepped on the topic, but we had to move ahead in the conversation, which was on the sensuality part of, these Panchkanyas. Let's talk about Ahilya. That's a forbidden territory. It's always difficult for an author to step into a religious territory, mythological territory, and talk about the sensuality part of the protagonist. How difficult was it? What's your take on it? I'm really intrigued.
I had heard about it, and I thought by the time I write Draupadi, I'll be killed. So I told my husband that कोई आता है तो protect कर दो ना. But वैसा कुछ हुआ नहीं. Thankfully, I guess the trolls did not read, and I got a lot of good, good vibes and good feedback from both right wing and left wing. So I was like, ये क्या है? So,
Wow. Wow.
that really was a moment for me. But what I realized is that audience is mature. वो तो बेवकूफ कोई नहीं है.
बढ़िया.
And
Yeah.
right now, the books, I mean, a lot of people who are, they are youngsters, maybe 17, 18, given their books, these books to their grandparents as gifts. And they took photographs with them. They are the ones that told the stories to them, and the stories are going back to them. That is another moment for me that जिनसे stories आए थे उनको वापस लाए, and they did not take it negatively. About the sensuality, I guess all of us knew it.
Yes.
We were unwilling
Nobody was
to
talking
talk
about it.
Yes, because बचपन में I remember if I would ask any such question, थप्पड़ पड़ जाता था because जवाब नहीं होता था किसी के पास. We were not supposed to talk in a particular way, not touch upon certain things, and we called it divinity. Divinity doesn't happen. I mean, मेरे साथ हजार खराब चीजें हो चुकी हैं. That doesn't mean God loves me less. मेरे साथ हजार अच्छी चीजें हो चुके हैं. That doesn't mean God loves me more. So don't explain the things in life with divinity. God is there. All the good things, bad things happening is a part of life, and that is how your life is packaged. Things are moving. I really had a very good experience about this, about putting the desire aspect in front, because a lot of people connected with it. And when we talk about Ahilya, since that is the first book, you understand that Ahilya was created by Brahma.
Yes.
No mother, just a creator. Right? So the girl doesn't come with any baggage. We are all born with a lot of things we already knew. आग में हाथ नहीं लगाना है, हाथ जल जाएगा. We knew it. Nobody taught us. We knew it.
Yes.
Because we came with a baggage that comes from parents. It's an internal wisdom that came with us. This girl was a completely clean slate. Everything she is trying to, experience. Everything. That's scary. And at the same time, that's also beautiful. Because everything is yours. That was very fascinating for me, including everything that happened thereafter. Because, I feel that in art, literature, cinema, and every kind of art, men have been produced as, portrayed as those जिनको protect करना है. Right? They are supposed to protect. कैसे protect करेगा? You tell Kavin, he is the only man in the fort. We are the mother, sisters, friend, daughter. हम चारों को protect करना है नीचे इतने सारे लोगों से. What will this guy do? सामने खड़ा हो जाएगा, बोलेगा कि नीचे मत उठो. बिंदी क्यों पहन रखी है? चूड़ियाँ क्यों है? नीचे देखो, सर दिखे ही हैं हम लोग. That is what men have done, right? कि तो उनको बोला गया था कि protect करना है. Protect कोई नहीं कर सकता. सिर्फ support कर सकता है.
How lovely.
And that is the story. That is all the stories in this series where I'm trying to explore women, of course, but men a lot.
Did you receive some flack from the...
No, they loved it.
See, that's the answer.
In Draupadi,
Yes, it does, and it's also about the lyrical and the poetic style of writing that you have. One gets immersed in the tale completely. So,
in Draupadi, I didn't introduce Krishna as a male god who is protecting Draupadi. Krishna is Antaratma, the inner wisdom. I thought अब तो मतलब कोई ना कोई आके कुछ तो at least पत्थर पर लिख के जाए. Nothing happened. Draupadi is the biggest seller of the five. I was like कुछ तो हो रहा है life में.
Lovely, lovely, lovely. How beautiful. Yes, Kevin, coming to you. Kevin, you've written Karna, which is the king of Anga, and और वो बहुत famous हुई है किताब, हर जगह गई है, लोग उस पर बात कर रहे हैं. Usually we have seen him as the tragic hero of the Mahabharata. How do you see him as, and if you were to meet Karna someday in physical form, what is that one question that you would like to ask him?
Two questions. So I think, how do I see him? I think that's the first thing. See, whenever I'm writing about a figure, I would never, bring a lot of baggage with in that. I would never be like कि मेरे को दूसरे लोग ने क्या बताया है या मेरे को popular perception क्या है उस particular figure के बारे में. I really don't care. The objective here is that what the sources that I am reading from. उसमें से जितना मैं उसको निकाल पाऊँ उससे एंड जितना मैं समझ पाऊँ जितना it's able to deliver the kind of message that I want to get delivered. So basically, Karna, King of Anga was a story of me in a way. I was going through anxiety at that time. I was diagnosed with panic disorder, and because I was writing, एक दो महीना किताब लिखता था पूरा 8 महीने कुछ था नहीं करने को. I was earning as a writer, so I didn't have to work also. So बोर हो रहा था. तो क्या हुआ? Sedimentary lifestyle create हो गई. Led to my panic disorder. So I was like, how do I bring that frustration in me, that pain and agony in me,